Rood is a really interesting poem because it tells the story of the crucifixion of Christ from a position that you might not immediately assume it's going to come from. Not from the position of Christ, not from the position of one of the people watching, not from the position of a Roman soldier, but rather from the subject position of the cross itself, the rood itself, which is simultaneously the thing that tortures Christ, but also the thing that is lifted up in glory with him. It's both his instrument of death and the symbol of his glory. And so the cross tells of its role in this. But what's really interesting about this is that this is a very different depiction of Jesus from the kind that we often see. You know, if you look historically, depictions of Jesus and what he was like will change over time. We'll emphasize certain parts now over other parts. So, for example, when I was a kid, there was a picture on the wall that I like to call cream rinse Jesus, a very feminized Jesus. He had long flowing hair, and he was looked very neat. He didn't look like the kind of guy who lived in the first century and lived the kind of life that he probably lived. Very clean, very neat, very good looking guy. Kind of looks maybe more Italian than Jewish, and he was a very kind of feminine type of Christ. And so we didn't hear when we didn't hear a lot about the lion, we heard a lot about the lamb. You didn't hear so much about the Jesus who created a whip and drove the moneylenders out of the temple. But sometimes you will end up with a more masculinized version of Christ, and here we see one of those. Jesus, as you'll notice in this, is not depicted as being meek and sort of forced into his execution on the cross. Instead, he's depicted as being a young hero who embraces the cross, and the cross is a servant of his, and the rood would fall and destroy his enemies, but Jesus is almost physically holding it up himself. And if you look at the various words that used to describe that the cross uses to describe Jesus, they're the words of a warrior, of a hero, of a king, not of someone who is a victim, who is suffering needlessly, but rather someone who goes to his fate willingly and with strength and power.